light alive. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come one, come all, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, beautiful people, and welcome to the Inner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Abe Kamara. And tonight we are deep diving into a conversation that bridges science, tradition, and trust. You know, we live in a world full of skepticism, uncertainty. We are honored to be joined by a voice of clarity, healing, and purpose. Minnesota only Black neuropathetic doctor, the incredible Dr. Q. So together we'll unpack the myths and truths around herbal medicine versus Western medicine, explore what it means to reclaim ancestral healing, and find balance in a system that often divides us. You know, so again, I'm your host, Abe Kamara. This is the Inner Circle podcast, your community show where we bring you guests like this that kind of inform us. And tonight, I'm joined by two great panelists. Dr. Q is the expert, so we'll just be here learning. As everyone, thanks for joining us. And before we get into things, we encourage you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So with that, we'll introduce our two panelists here quick, and then we'll give Dr. Q the opportunity to introduce herself, and we'll dive into things. So, Andrea.
Good evening, everyone. Andrea here. Looking forward to a great conversation. It is going to be a treat for you all. Dr. Q is full of a wealth of information, and she is my favorite naturopath doctor. So welcome, Dr. Q. We're glad to have you.
And I'm Titus. Excited to be here with all of you. Can't wait to sit at the feet of knowledge tonight and absorb all that I can. But also thanks to all of you out there, you know, the audience. Thanks for sticking by us. Again, community show. Feel free, relax, come. Let's learn. These are things that continue to elevate our community. Doc, welcome. We are so grateful to have you here.
Okay, thank you guys. Again, Dr. Q, welcome to the Inner Circle podcast. We are so happy that you could take off your busy schedule to join us to educate us and educate our audience. So we'll get started here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, you know, just your background and how you got into herbal medicine?
Yes. Hello. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me. I love doing things like this. Let's see my background. Originally born and raised in Oakland, California. Only Black practicing naturopathic doctor in the entire state of Minnesota. Let's say I've been practicing for about 16 years now. And originally, I guess my origin story, as I like to call it, is that I always wanted to be a doctor. I was that kid, so 6 years old, going forward. Ever since I was 6, I wanted to be a doctor. I just wanted to help people, help heal people was the big thing. And then in high school, I interviewed about 6 medical doctors, MDs, who were practicing at the time. They were all family friends. And they were in the same, they practiced in the same clinic as my stepfather at the time, who's a PA. And they were Black, as I should note that. So I interviewed them, and they learned about what I wanted to do. And I said that I wanted to help heal people. And they told me, you probably shouldn't be a medical doctor, which was a surprise. And this was back in the 90s. I'm dating myself a little bit, but it was mainly because, as we know now, the state of healthcare, they knew that I would have very little time. I wouldn't be able to do a whole lot as far as helping to sit with my patients and assist them. I will be limited to what the insurance tells me I could do. And it would be a lot of stress and in a pretty, just my lifestyle wouldn't be really beneficial as well. So they said, just because they knew me and cared about me, they were like, you probably don't want to do that. So long story, I did an internet search and found naturopathic medicine. It was important to me to still be a doctor. I am raised by 2 PhDs, and so I was going to be a doctor. That was going to happen. And yeah, I had to look back. I love it. I love what I do, and I'm glad that they said no.
What's the journey like to get to where you are right now? Like, how was the journey for you? Like the education, I mean, how long did you have to do your education and things like that?
Yeah. So let's see. I had, at the time I found this medicine, I had a degree in psychology already. That was going to be my pathway at the time. And so I had to go back and do some prerequisites, some biochemistry and things like that. And then naturopathic medical school, it's a full medical school, it's accredited, all of that. There are about 6 medical schools in the States. It's mostly known internationally. But there are 6 medical schools in the States. And so I applied. They don't require the MCAT. So that's one difference. Other than that, it's the same. Like we basically learn, the short way of saying is I basically learn what medical students learn, like MDs, but I also learn botanical medicine, Chinese medicine, hydrotherapy, I always forget something, homeopathy, nutrition. So I'm essentially a medical doctor, a nutritionist, chiropractor, acupuncturist, and herbalist as well, all thrown together. And we still I had to do clinical boards to graduate, and I have to do continuing education, 25 hours of continuing education, including pharmaceutical education every year. So yeah, still up there.
Well, you end up still getting, going the medical degree, right? Because I mean, it's so much, it takes so much, right, to get to where you are right now. So, Titus, any question from you to Dr. Q?
Me, you know, when you hear about this type of practice, folks on the allopathic side try to minimize it a little bit, you know, but it sounds really tedious, dog. I mean, it sounds tedious, and I mean, it really shows your passion, right? Not just managing or treating symptoms, but when you say healing, I understand where you're coming from a more holistic approach. But I still want to beyond the healing, because when you look at wages, right, salaries, compensations, and what have you, I don't understand why it's significantly different from, you know, the surgical or the conventional medicine. I know you saw that before getting into this field. Why still go into, you know, natural medicine?
Well, my motivation is never money centered. It just isn't. That's not my goal. I am more about, I'm really big on intention. I was raised that way. It's all about your intention. And if you do, feel really strong about do what you love, and the money will follow. And that has been the case. I've done very little marketing for years, and I make 6 figures. I'll just say that. So just be good at what you do. I think that's the important thing. Yeah. And to me also, the money it's how valuable is the money if you are unhappy. You know, the suicide rate for medical doctors, allopathic world, that they are not happy. As far as I know, the medical doctors I know are not happy. They're very, very, very stressed out. And this is a stressful job. Don't get me wrong, what I do. And I also really love what I do. And I also want to say that I'm not against allopathic medicine at all. I'm not against anyone. I just am more about my outcomes are different. My intention's different. I'll just say that. Yeah.
Do you have your own like clinic, or do you have your own facility that folks
Yes.
can reach out?
Autonomy is also important to me. I'm a very independent minded person. And so I worked in clinics over the years, and it's just been important to me to be able to do, if I want to change, I'm entrepreneurially minded as well.
Okay.
So if I want to make adjustments, I can. It does give a different set of stressors, but I have my own private practice. Yes, it's in South Minneapolis. And I also see patients virtually too.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, question from you.
Yes. Again, thank you, Dr. Q, for being here. One question that I do have, and it's more so especially for the listeners out there that maybe have never even heard of naturopathic medicine. Can you explain the differences between naturopathic medicine and Western medicine?
Yes. I think it's easier for me to start with the similarities because there is so little known about what we do. It's based on an old traditional style of medicine, but it's also still medicine. Like I said, I am a doctor and a physician, depending on what state I'm practicing out of. And so similarly, it's like I said, full medical school. Similarly, we have medical boards. We have a governing board a national governing board. I have a state's governing board. I have to do continuing education every year, like I mentioned. So that's how we're similar. Different is, I think, the approach. So the approach of a naturopathic doctor is that my focus is to assess and to understand the root cause of someone's symptoms. And I take time to understand that. So if you come to me with a headache and stomach issues, I'm going to take a 2-hour intake. We spend 2 hours on the initial intake to learn why do you have the stomach ache and the headache? Why are you having those issues? What is going on? Where's the imbalance? Our approach is that there's nothing necessarily wrong with your body. It's about there's an imbalance happening with your body. Another thing that we have tenets that we follow. So areas that they're guidelines that we all follow as naturopathic doctors. One is that my approach is that your body knows instinctually how to take care of you. It just does. It's made to take care of you and keep you alive and as vital as possible. My job is to understand, again, where the imbalance is, what the root cause is, help you understand what's happening with your body so that you can understand what's going on, what the symptoms are, and you can make adjustments. We spent a long time on education. And let's see, another difference is a ton of differences. Another difference would be we spend a large part of our education on nutrition. 800 hours, I believe it is, on just nutrition, on what the body does on a microscopic level to take the food in and what it does to make energy. And so it's a large part of what my education myself, and also I educate each patient on what foods are best for them as an individual, not just in general.
Do you like recommend medicine, whether herbal or
Yes, good question. So I'm trained in pharmaceuticals. I just choose to use them last. My approach is really to what's the best fit? What does your body need at this time? So I will say, some patients will say to me, I saw this doctor, they want to put me on statins. And I say, okay, well, let's see if you need statins. Hold on. What does your body saying? What's the root cause? Why do you need statins? So let's walk through that whole process. And you might need statins or heart medication to help get your blood pressure down. So while we're working on the underlying cause, your blood pressure can stay down. So again, I use it as a tool as opposed to the only option.
Okay, Tadas, question from you.
Really, I'm fascinated already. Yes, when you talk about, I want us to stay on that high blood pressure, because that's one of the major reasons, especially the Africans, blacks, are meeting early fatalities. But Doc, before we go there, how long did your schooling take you? You already had your psychology, degree. How long did it take you to earn all of this?
Yeah, so it's the core medical school is 4 years. So it's 2 years learning how the body works, all the ologies is what I say. So the gross anatomy, the cardiology, the endocrinology, all the stuff, the sciences, the basic stuff that all doctors learn. And then we also, again, learn the botanical medicine, the nutrition, the physical medicine, Chinese medicine, all those other things. We also learn that in the same 2 years. And the second 2 years, we're in clinicals. So learning how to apply it. And we have to take board tests after the first 2 years, and we have to take another 3-day board test after the second two, or after the 4 years. And then I took on 2 additional years to do a residency with a botanical medicine practitioner to learn more about that. That's my main modality is botanical medicine. So I really lean into herbs. I love the fact that the earth has provided us with our medicine. And I mean, pharmaceuticals are derived from plants. So why don't you go to the plants? If that's the root cause, root thing, why don't I go there? Because that's what our body works with. I believe basically that's what our body can recognize easier as opposed to a pill. A pill is foreign. It's more foreign. It's more of a degree away from a plant to me in my approach. And so I find that your body works a little bit more integrally with a plant. So, yeah.
So I'm a black man. I come to you. I have a high blood pressure issue. What are you testing? I mean, I know you guys don't really deal with specimen, right, in your
We do.
area. So, oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So please walk us through. What are you looking at? What is informing you of my underlying causes?
Yeah. So part of it is that too. That's why we take those full 2 hours during your first intake. Is I want to learn more about you. I'm thinking initially, what are your stress levels? I think mainly because I've been practicing for so long, I can see patterns and I kind of get an idea of where we're going. But immediately, I'm going to go to stress. Not just what your stress levels are, but how well are you managing that stress? What are your sources of stress? What's stressing you, but that you don't perceive as stress? And then from there, it's going to be looking at other organ systems. Are your kidneys working well? How is your, how's your cardiovascular system? What other labs have you done previously? Who have you seen before? What's your medical history? What's your family medical history? We're going to go way back. And then depending on what you have, I may pull in additional lab work to see what we may need. So yes, we are trained in the same kind of, I'll do a blood draw if needed. I typically don't, because usually by the time people find me, they've seen 5 or 6 doctors like pretty recently. And so I don't usually have to go there. I already have the labs that they've had before. And why do I need to poke you again? So I'll pull from those labs. And I may do specialty labs as well. So I do a lab it's a salivary cortisol lab. And that's not really known in the conventional world quite yet. And that's a different way to, in my world, more specifically learn about your stress levels. So I learn about your patterns of stress, and Andrea may know a little bit about that. So you may want to talk about that, but don't want to out you go. But yeah, it's another way to learn more about your stressors and how your body is affected by it. And we do some education on that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing the myths and facts about herbal medicine versus Western medicine, and we have Dr. Q here with us, educating us. Great information so far. I mean, it's like we are all blown away the kind of information she's provided. But we'll have a few questions from you. But first, before we go there, folks, you can contribute to the conversation or ask Dr. Q any question, 952-594-5154, or you can put a comment in the chat. We already have 3 or 4 here, Dr. Q, that's coming up. So I will put them up and you can address them. I think you already addressed this, right? But if you can just repeat yourself,
Yeah, so I'm located in Southwest Minneapolis. Yeah, Southwest Minneapolis, so right in Uptown on Hennepin and Lake.
Okay, and then that's one. And then the other one is this one. Do you accept insurance?
That I do not accept direct insurance. There's many reasons for that, kind of associated with why I'm not a medical doctor or allopathic medical doctor. I will be limited. They would tell me what I can and cannot do and how long I can do it for. So I'm not interested in that. But I do take HSA or FSA funds as well.
Okay. And so the last one here, I think you already have a patient here.
She's ready.
So So okay, so anyway, that's that. So probably she'll reach out to you. We'll share your information here at the end of the show. But Andrew, a question from you.
Yes. So I'm just gonna kind of jump into my experience for the folks that are listening out there, just to kind of give you a feel of kind of like what it is like to see a naturopath doctor. I've known Dr. Ariana for a couple years now, and like she said, she takes more of a holistic approach. So it's not just like you're coming in and like, oh, something's hurting. Okay, I'm gonna give you some meds. It's more so she does take the time to understand kind of like what's your life like. Like, are you under any stress, or what is your history like? Have you had any other like past, medical things going on? And she uses that to kind of put together a full picture of like her approach to what she needs to do to help you. The one thing that I will definitely say, especially for our Black women out there, as you know, we carry a lot of stress, right? We wear a lot of hats, and I'm not discounting Black men either, so don't come shoot me for that. But I will say, Dr. Ayana is the first doctor that I ever had to test my cortisol levels, and I never even knew that my cortisol levels were the way they were. I just thought, okay, well, I'm just probably feeling sluggish because I'm just grinding. But those are important things that, in my opinion, I feel like any doctor should be
Okay.
checking, and
Okay.
it really impacts a lot if it goes I don't want to say untreated, but if you don't address them in different ways. And the one thing also, I've come to Dr. Ayana even just for my son, just for nutrition guidance and whatnot. And she's the first person that has helped me to get like vitamins for my son, but not with all the extra chemicals in it, like the stuff that you get over the counter and stuff that has a lot of stuff in it. But she's helped me to
Yeah.
find like the right vitamins for him, and he's been
Okay.
thriving. I could even say iron, right? Iron's a big thing for women, especially around like your menstruation. We lose a lot of blood, for some people. And out there's like Metamucil and all the stuff over the counter,
Sure.
but that's not always a good fit. And she's the
Sure.
first doctor that prescribed me liquid iron. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I'm telling you, when I had the liquid iron, I was a completely different person. So I will just say it's a plug, but honest like opinion, like check her out. She does consultations as well. Just check her out. And the one thing from the African community,
Sure.
we have a lot of things at our fingertips that I don't think like we know that is like herbal medicine. Like
Okay.
soursop, I'm not sure if you guys have that back in Liberia, but soursop, people drink a lot of
Mm.
soursop tea. Like that is such a good thing for your body. Like we have so
Okay.
many herbs that we probably have grown up on that I don't know if folks realize like that's so good for your
Sure.
body versus like taking medications. But the question that I was going to kind of jump into, it kind of ties into what Titus had asked. But how do you determine which herbal remedies? Excuse me. How do you determine which herbal remedies are both safe and effective for your patients?
Good question. Oh, the short answer is it depends. I think I'm going to answer and kind of go back around. So what that makes me think of is that there are a number of herbal remedies that are out there that are not safe for people, and that they don't know that they're safe for people. And so I want to point those out, and then I might circle back. So for instance, there's a lot of, okay. So people who have thyroid issues, if they're hyperthyroid, should not be taking lemon balm, for instance. Lemon balm as an herb is used in a lot of formulas to help calm you down. It's a stress herb, and it works nicely, but it also works on the thyroid to help calm you down. If you're already taking thyroid medication, it can interfere with the medication and make it work too strongly. So you want to be careful of that. If you're taking St. John's wort, which is also another one for stress management, and you're taking other medications, you want to be careful of that because they can mess up your liver. Another one I'm thinking of is kava kava, which is another stress one, to be honest, for muscle pain. And that is actually hard on the liver as well. So you don't want to be taking that long term. So there are a number of herbs that are out there that you don't want to just grab stuff and just take it just because, especially if it's in a formula. Another thing I want to mention that may not be, well, I might get some flack for this, but I'm starting to see more patients bringing in things that they're ordering online from TikTok that are from small, they're individuals who are making formulas and saying they're selling them online. I am not hacking, like do your hustle. I'll do the hustle. I'm not mad at that at all. And also, if you're buying that, make sure that you're buying it from someone who is listing out all the ingredients, and then do your own research to see, and take it to your doctor, take it to your medical professional to say, hey doc, should I be taking this? To make sure that it fits for you, because there may be a lot of negative interactions that may make you sicker. So I do want to say that. Yeah.
Okay. First, let me just circle back to the huge promotional gem that Andrea dropped for you. What's your feedback? What's your reaction? What's your reaction to that? What's your feedback to that? Because that's a huge promotional gem she just dropped there for you.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
I tend to get, like I said, I don't have to do a lot of promotion, not to, to my own horn. I don't necessarily do, because I typically will see, usually it's the mom or the wife of the family that looks for me and reaches out, and then I see them, they get better. Then after the first or second session, like, oh my God, I'm sold. I need you to get to my mom, my auntie, my sister, my cousin needs to see you. Definitely my significant other, my kid. Like, then it starts coming in, and I start to see the family, and that just brings me such joy. That's why I do what I do. I want to heal us as a community. That's really my real goal, is not just to keep myself healthy, my family healthy, but us as a community and a worldwide community healthy. Okay. So I'm doing this because it is available. You do not have to suffer in silence. You do not need to be sick. You do not need to be taking a whole cabinet full of pills and still not be feeling better. Okay. I'm still a doctor, and it's effective. Like, that can happen.
Okay. Two questions real quick. The first one is affordability like an issue for your clients, because you don't accept insurance?
Sometimes. Okay. I will say that it's a struggle. And so I'm breaking out, doing more workshops, doing more group work, because it's tricky, because it's not a quick fix. Okay. It's not something that you can just take really quickly and turn around. And there's an investment one way or the other, time, money, and otherwise. We are in a capitalistic society, so I gotta, to pay my bills as well. And I want to make sure that we all can also take advantage of the education that I have and the passion that I have. And so, yes, that's doing workshops. I do a number of workshops. I'm open to doing workshops. I'd love to do more of this. So if you've got, if those of you who are watching, if you want me to come to your place of work, to your church, I would love to talk about this stuff to more people, to us. We need to know about this.
Okay. I guess, my last question before I go to Tad is, how are you perceived by like folks in the Western medicine space, and even like, others doing the same work that you are doing? How are you perceived by your peers?
Yeah, so it usually is, like you said, it's a little bit of like little side eye, like, are you sure you're real? They're not quite sure until I start talking. And they're like, oh, okay. They just need education like the rest of us. They just need to know, because there are a lot of different options out there. For instance, so I'm a naturopathic doctor. There's another term called a naturopath. That's another profession where they haven't gone to the full medical school. They have a certification. Again, I'm not against anyone. It's just a difference. So there has to be some level of education on who we are and what we stand for, and we're not against anyone. So yeah, usually I go to integrative medical conferences. I talk to MDs all the time. I'm open to that. And once they learn of what this is and they're into it, then they want me to be their doctor.
Okay. Thank you for that. Titus, question from you.
So, Doc, you're the only Black practicing naturopathic doctor in Minnesota?
Yeah.
That actually bothers me a little bit, because, I mean, what's going on? Like, what's going on? I mean, are there opportunities out there? I mean, is the system welcoming to this type of medicine, or are there some undercover suppression that we don't know about?
Yes, to all of that. Yes. Like I mentioned, I'm originally from California. So when I moved here about 10 years ago, I joined our state association, and I was the director of public outreach, just to be the one out there, banging the gong and let people know that we existed. We were a thing. We are relatively small as an industry and as a profession, compared to the healthcare industrial complex. We aren't that. We also heal people. That's not really profitable. That doesn't make people money. That doesn't make insurance companies money. That doesn't make, those big companies money. And so that they're not really wanting us to be out there. That's not going to help them. My goal is that you don't see me, to be honest. My goal is graduation, that you're not no longer needing to see me on a regular basis, that we've done enough work together that you see me once a year, once every 3 years. I don't know when last time I saw you, Andrea, and I'm happy for it. Like, I love seeing you, obviously, but that means that you don't need it. And that's the goal. That's not really going to be, that's kind of counter to what what our current system is set up to be. And so that's one issue. Another issue, again, is that it's just education. We're, again, a very small voice in a very large industry. Again, not against them, but the Mayo Clinic is here. They're huge. They're just kind of getting interested in what we're doing. But again, it's just the money. The money is the major thing. That's the big thing in our issue, and in education as well.
I mean, I'm curious a little bit. Why would insurance company? I get a motivation, right? But insurance company don't like to, like pay claims. I understand that. But if you are into the holistic, right, trying to get people off of the system, right, or out of the system, shouldn't insurance companies be encouraging you? I mean, folks like you.
You would think.
Okay.
You would think. I will say this as well. So we're regulated by a national organization, but we're also regulated by state associations. So there are certain things that I do under Minnesota law that I do that are separate from what I would do if I lived in California, because of legislation, essentially. So if I was practicing in California, I would be taking insurance. I could take insurance. Here, no. And so it depends on what our scope of practice is, which is based on legislation, which is based on money, just to really simplify it. So it depends.
So that means that we need to fight to change the legislation then, right? For folks like you, for it to be easier for insurance to accept your practice.
Agreed, 100%.
Okay, well, back to Tyler's question. Is it like you are the only Black person in your field? Is it like not many Black people many Black people don't want to go into the field, or is it maybe that a lack of, incentive? It's like, why won't like more Black folks, right? I mean, you provide education, you provide, you are out there speaking about this. Are Black folks interested, or folks from our community interested?
I would think, as an idea, I don't know. It was a lot. It's a full medical school, like you mentioned. The questions that you were saying, I make the money I make because I'm the kind of person I am. It's not going to come to me. I'm not an employee. I have to be a go-getter. This is not an easy role. It's not an easy path. And so it's that. And it's also that, again, as the only one, I'm the only one out here talking about it as well. I don't have a team telling people about this. And so then there's also just a smaller population ratio as well, compared to other cultures in Minnesota. There's a larger population of Black NDs in California. I keep talking about that, but the larger states on the coast, they tend to have a larger population ratio. Chicago, there are more, for instance, because there's more Black people living there. So yeah, let your people know I'm here.
Okay, definitely. Andrew, a question from you.
I'm just soaking this all in. One question that I do have, I was thinking about kind of more so just the affordability, because I think a lot of people, like you said, are not necessarily familiar with this. But yeah, it's unfortunate that, a lot of people don't know necessarily about naturopath medicine. And I will say, before I even really got connected to Dr. Ayana, I don't even want to put this out there, but I remember I was at a conference. My sister-in-law was leading a conference, and it was like a women's empowerment conference, and Dr. Ayana was on a panel. And there was a woman that stood up from the audience, and she gave her testimony, and Dr. Ayana helped her heal her cancer. And I was like, whoa. And so I was like, I need to understand who she is. And so I did a 15-minute consult. And when I did that, like, I looked at my health way differently. Like, I think that's the one thing that we are used to. Like, we do our well checks, we do our preventative medicine, we go in, do our shots, and that's it. But it's so much more. Like, how is your soul doing? Like, Dr. Ayana's not just checking on me as far as like what's happening. She's like what are you doing for self-care? Like, how are you showing up for yourself? So it's almost like, I feel like she's like a therapist and a doctor and some, so she's like truly treating you holistically. And so that's where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I should have been doing this a long time ago. And like, things are different now, like, especially like when it comes to medications. If I have to get prescribed medications, I'm probably going to reach out to her and say, hey, like, what's the alternative here? Do I need to take this? Is there an herb I can take? And like, I'm into teas a lot more because of Dr. Ayana. And I think about all of the money that my parents spent way back in the day. Like, we don't necessarily need all this medicine, you know? But just kind of going back to more so like kind of having the going back to just affordability for this type of care. When it comes to immigrants and underserved communities, I know access to healthcare can be limited. What role can herbal medicine play in bridging health disparities, in your opinion?
So a couple of things I want to mention. So I want to talk a little bit about the affordability of it. So it's also about changing the way that your perspective on your own healthcare. You know, a lot of times, like you said, you'll feel sick, and so you'll see the typical allopathic doctor. They'll give you a pill, and then you get the bill later, and then it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And so by the end, you want to look at that total amount that you spent, not just money wise, but sense of well-being. How much better are you? Do you have any more of a closer idea of who you are and how your body works? Are you still having to take this medication? You don't know why you're taking it. You have to take another medication because it's giving you a side effect. Like I said, you have all these meds and you are no closer to knowing why you're taking them. Or the other option could be, yes, it's more expensive on the front end and it's also preventative. And then you invest it on yourself. After typically I see my patients about a year is the longest, and then you're done. That's it. So you want to also look at what kind of investment you're willing to take in yourself. I'll say that. Okay, so then with herbal medication and herbal options, so I want to back up a little bit. So also you want to look at food as your medicine as well. So it's not just about herbs, it's about plants. Plants are still just as much as, no, I'll say this way. So greens are also medicine just as much as like a chamomile plant. They're both plants. And it depends on how you use them. So it's also a lot of times, as you mentioned, like soursop. If you're looking to improve your health, start looking at what you're putting in your body. Not necessarily adding on a new thing, but what are you putting in your body on a regular basis? What food are you eating? What are you drinking? What kind of stimuli are you taking in? Are you moving? Does those basic things help your body work better? We were built all inclusive. We were divinely created is what I say. We're divinely created. We weren't created with a prescription list of other things we need to take regularly. So do the things that work for you on a regular basis to support you, and your body can take over and keep you healthy. That also means, I shouldn't say this, you know what you need to be eating. You know what you shouldn't be eating. Do that. Do that regularly. Do it for 3 months consistently and see how you feel. Do you feel better? Keep doing it. Do you not feel better? Make an adjustment. Try something else. You instinctually know what you need to be doing. And so I really push back sometimes on being the expert all the time, because you actually know better. You've been in your body for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You're more the expert in your body than I am. I have a very expensive brain, but also eating whole foods, doing things like half your plate are vegetables. Those basic things can help. Half your plate is vegetables, 1/4 your plate is lean protein without a whole bunch of sauces, and then other half your plate. Let me say that better. So half your plate is protein, 1/4 your plate is excuse me, I'm getting all confused. Look at a plate. Half your plate is produce, 1/4 your plate is protein, and the other 1/4 your plate are grains. So like your rices, things like that, and that's all you need. Lots of water. Basics, keeping that consistent for 3 months so your body can get a chance to reset itself, and then you can play with it a little bit.
Okay. Well, folks, so now we are talking about. Okay. Well, go ahead, Andrea.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I
was just gonna go back to the food thing because, right, a lot of us, especially the Africans, right, we like our jollof rice, we like our stews, we like all of that. So, like, thinking from that perspective, like what would you say to the audience on how they can actually balance? Like, I know, some of us eat cassava leaf and like spinach stew and different things, but like from that perspective, can you kind of give the audience a little bit more context of like what their plate should look like from a like African cuisine standpoint, maybe?
Yeah, thank you for that. So it's going to be just portion sizes, because African foods are actually pretty healthy when it comes down to it. We're already naturally not eating a whole lot of protein. We're already naturally eating a whole lot of vegetables. We already instinctually do that. We eat foods naturally that have a lot of omegas in them, that have iron in them, that have all the vitamins and minerals that we need. It's now looking at portion sizes. So not having so much of it in one sitting, and then moving more is going to be the thing to offset that. So getting up and moving. Africans living in America in particular are very sedentary. We sit a lot. So get up and move after you eat. Take a 20-minute walk. This weather is thankfully getting warmer. So after your meal, get up and walk. Take a 20-minute walk, and include more water as well. Those sugary drinks are not your friend. I'll say that.
I think that's going to require more education from you, because because the portion size and get over walking. We might need to bring you on here more, right, to provide more education regarding that, so folks can follow that and things like that. But folks, tonight we are discussing the myth and facts about herbal medicine versus Western medicine. And Dr. Q, you might have a lot of patients here tonight before you leave from here. There's one more here for you, right? She said, I need something for chronic migraines, so is that something that you can help with?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So
Okay.
usually chronic migraines are related to hormones and stress.
Okay.
And sometimes the amount of water, if you're not hydrating enough. So it says without getting to it deeply, it's tricky sometimes to give general blanket suggestions, because my work is really individualized. We work on who you are as an individual, but in general, we tend to be dehydrated. So start there. Just drink more water consistently. Like I've got this thing here. I drink this. I try to every day. I don't do it every day because I'm still human, but drink consistently throughout the day. And then if, like I mentioned, usually migraines are hormonally related. So taking a look, and this kind of goes across any symptom that you have, but looking at tracking. When is it happening? Is it happening on every month? Is it happening at the beginning of the month? Is it happening every Monday? Is it happening after you eat lunch? What is the consistent pattern that you're seeing? And that'll help you get a better understanding of what the underlying cause is. And so if she's having those migraines, is it happening right before your period? Is it happening afterwards? Is it happening every other month? Is there anything that's also happening alongside that? So is she also getting heavy cramps? Is her moods changing? Then you could be like, oh, okay, it's more hormone based. Let me go talk to a gynecologist. So you can go there. If it's stress migraines, then it's happening around your, okay, almost every day. Okay, that sounds like every day, babes. Oh, so when you get up from bed, that's going to be, look at more hydration and stress then. I will look at stress. So the migraine, if it is in fact a migraine, that's going to be on one side of the body, and it's going to be affecting your visual field. And so I would look at the stress levels and what you're doing to offset it. A lot of times I would talk about stress. Oh, okay. At any time. Yeah, then you want to look at getting a physical exam, because it could be from an injury. Or if you're having these constant migraines, you want to maybe get some imaging done. You want to get a physical exam done. You want to see if there's anything happening that's structural that could be affecting the blood flow to the brain. That's a different thing, because it's happening all the time. Then that means that there's something happening possibly structurally.
Okay. Cool. Just real quick, do you get like referrals from like medical doctors, like folks from the Western medicine space? Do you get referrals? Okay. Titus, question from you.
So, Doc, I'm here thinking about the background with psychology as you enter into the medicine. How do you tie that in? Since you're into healing, you're looking at the mind, the emotions, energies, and what have you. Can you just dive in a little bit, give us a better understanding of how do you tie that into healing as a whole?
So the background, my psychology background I use mostly is looking more into, there's a book out there called The Body Keeps Score. So looking into how psychology connects to the body. And so if you have prior trauma in your life as a child, how that's showing up in your body. And so I'll kind of connect that to people. I talk about stress, obviously, a whole lot. I talk about all about family traumas, but not really getting into like it's not a therapy session per se, but it kind of feels like it. So I do a lot of empowering. I do a lot of putting yourself first, especially when it comes to Black women. A lot of times we don't do that. We tend to give. And that's embedded in our culture. And so I do some work on helping you to see yourself first and the importance of that. A lot of times that's hard to do. Because again, we're taught to take care of everyone else, even our kids. And so I kind of change that narrative because you've got to take care of yourself first in order to continue to take care of other people. Yeah, those are the main things. We do some action planning as well. So that's more of a psychology thing. Some health coaching as well. So I will do some health coaching. I did 5 years as a health coach. So I'll pull that into. Yeah, those are the main things.
Okay. Two questions here quick, right? First of all, we live in a society right now where in weight loss, everyone want to lose weight, and things like that. And then there's this whole new medicine, I know Ozempic. I know if I'm if I'm what's your opinion about that, right? What's your opinion?
Yeah, so it's interesting because Ozempic, the medication, is based off of something that naturally happens in the body. It is a GLP-1, which is an acronym for something that our body already does. And so Ozempic just gives us like a lot more of it, and our body gets imbalanced by it. So it works, but you also have to stay on it. I'm not against any drug. It's more about, does it fit for you? Does it make sense? And what are the side effects? And what's the outcome? Like, why are we doing this? And there also is it a good fit for you. So if it's not a good fit for you, there are also other options you can look at. And why are you wanting to lose weight? What's the cause for the weight gain? Why is it staying on you? What else do you want to do? Because nothing in this world is a quick fix. So don't think it is, because this ain't it either. You also need to adjust your eating habits. You also need to get up and move. You also need to sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, like effective restful sleep. You also need to address your stress, areas like that. All still needs to come into play, even with that pill. And that also may not be a quick fix. Well, it's not gonna be a quick fix. If you're on it, you have to stay on it. That's also the thing.
Okay. Well, I think, as I said, you have a patient here already. She's saying, right, she don't mind coming to wherever you are,
Okay.
right, to work on her migraine. So we will be sharing your contact information.
The patient's ready.
We'll be sharing your
Yes.
contact information at the end of the show, right? So folks can contact you because, as I said, you're providing some good information here. So thanks for that. Again, folks, we are discussing the myths and facts about herbal medicine versus Western medicine. You can put a comment in the chat or call our number 952-594-5154 if you have any question for Dr. Q. Andrea, any question from you?
Yeah, Dr. Q, one question that I do have is, are there affordable or culturally relevant herbal remedies that communities of color should know about, and how can they be used responsibly? Pretty loaded, but high level.
Good question. Kind of thinking about the Ozempic one, a lot of people are also wanting to use berberine as an option. It's another herb, which may or may not help depending on why you are holding on to weight. Chromium is another one. So chromium is something that people can take to help with their blood glucose, because a lot of times weight management coincides with diabetes, which is why the Ozempic thing came into play, because it actually was created for people with diabetes who were morbidly obese, and it happened to get the weight down. And it got the weight down because it affected their blood glucose. So if you got diabetes, there's other things you can do. So chromium is one of them. Oh gosh, got me on the spot now. I can't think of anything. Bitter melon is another one. Actually, bitter melon is a plant that is from the Philippines, I believe. And that's one that helps to modulate or slow down how long your body breaks down food. So you get a chance to then turn it into glucose, and so it doesn't build up as fast. So it kind of slows things down. Oh gosh. Let's see. Blood pressure is another one, like you mentioned. So I live in the world. I tend to, especially these days, I'm giving a whole lot of stress management stuff. So one of my favorites is passion flower. And that one is helpful for calming the nervous system down. And it also helps to strengthen the cardiovascular system. So they work on that. One herb works in both areas. So if you get high blood pressure because of stress, that's a good one to check out. So that's called passion flower. Hawthorn's another one. Hibiscus, I think we know about hibiscus. That's actually really good for blood pressure. So drinking hibiscus tea. You want to be careful about hawthorn because sometimes it can interact with blood pressure medication. So hibiscus is another one that you can kind of drink and not have to worry about. That's high in vitamin C as well. Let's see. Goodness gracious. I take a lot of things. I mean, if I think of something else.
Sure, yeah. Sure.
That's a lot.
Yeah, just real quick though, like if folks come to you who are on a lot of medication, do you work with them to try to get them off that medication, or how do you try to understand their system or their condition or their situation?
Yeah, so again, that's part of why we're trained in pharmaceuticals, and I can use them. Like if, for instance, if I was practicing in another state, I might pull it in and use it for a different tool. So most people, I'm just thinking of like majority 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 people who come to see me are on 1 to 3 medications just off the top. Because most of us are. So it's more about looking at, and I determined, okay, do you want to get off of this medication? Because sometimes you may need to stay on it. So we'll have that conversation. We'll talk about, a lot of times when people are put on medication, they're put on a med from one doctor and then see another doctor for another thing, they put on a different med, but those 2 doctors don't talk to see if those 2 medications are interacting with each other. Should they be taking them? Should they be taking them together or separately? What are they doing when they're taken together? Like, so when you come to me, I'll take the time to determine what are the interactions? What's the safety profile? Should you be taking these? And I'll say, this one probably isn't one you want to be taking at this time. You should talk to that doctor. Go check with them, make them do their job. And then also, sometimes again, people will come to me and, for instance, they'll say, I saw the doctor, they want to put me on this blood pressure medication. I'm go ahead and take it now, but I want to get off of it. And we'll talk about weaning you off. Or they put me on this anti-anxiety medication. Okay, well, you're really anxious now. Let's keep you on it, but we'll also do all the underlying things to get you better. So then your body doesn't need it, and then we'll wean you off. Yeah, there's a whole protocol for that.
Well, just real quick to that, right? There's so many folks in our community, in the Black community, in the immigrant community, that are on high blood pressure medication. They don't want to be on it. I mean, some folks detest that, they hate that. It's like, how can they get off of it, right? Is it when they come to you, how do you work with them to get off of that medication? Because a lot of folks don't want to be on that stuff, but so long they get into it, right? I mean, once the pharmaceutical companies get them into that system, it's a done deal.
They can get off of it. It depends on why they're on it. So a lot of my work is preventative again. So it's about, if you want to get off it, you want to do the work to get off of it.
Okay.
You want to do the work to figure out why you're on it in the first place. If you're on it because you're not paying attention to your stressors, or because you don't want to move, or because you don't want to stop eating the food, then you kind of got to be on it. Yeah.
Okay. Tyler, question from you.
Yes, Doc. Again, thank you for all you're doing here tonight. So a lot of your work is preventative. So does that mean that some of your limitations would be in the case of emergency situations, procedures, and whatever?
Yes, I will tell people all the time, don't come to me for a broken arm. I can't help you. Do not do it. There's a protocol that I work with people on, healing your gut. And so it's about, just to kind of quickly go into it, there's a panel that we do to see what foods you're eating that your body's reacting off of. And part of that protocol is that we remove those foods that you're reacting off of. Then I heal your gut through a different number of herbs and things to kind of calm the system down. And then we reintroduce each food. And when we're going through the reintroduction process, I will say, you may find that if your throat is closing and you're starting to break out, don't call me. Go to the ER. Don't come see me. Go there first and then call me. So yes, the emergency department is there for a reason. I am not there. So go get them, get that. And then, so I have patients who often will call me from the waiting room. They'll call me from the hospital to say, I needed to go in for this. I'm here now. What do you think? So I'll come in and be like advisor for them. And I definitely, I've sent a number of patients to the ER. Yes.
Okay.
So it sounds like, Abe, can I
more
real quick? It sounds like so your area of medicine has a good working relationship with allopathic. However, do you by any chance deal with mentally challenged patients? Have you ever encountered that?
Yeah.
Since you're into holistic healing.
Definitely. I'll mostly say there are some things that I see more of, but I see all patients of all ages, backgrounds, and conditions. It's more a case by case basis. So I have another number of patients autistic. They are different mental backgrounds. My brother's autistic, so I'm familiar and comfortable with that environment, that population. So definitely, I think what I do is approach, again, it's individuals. I approach the patient no matter who they are, to where they're ready to go, to who they are, what their needs are, what their capacity is, no matter what the specific diagnosis is.
Okay. Just real quick here, another question from Amanda here is soursop and moringa a good daily supplement?
You're not going to like this answer necessarily. It depends.
Okay.
It depends on why you're taking it. If you have other medical conditions, then not necessarily. Like a lot of people like to take, I'm blanking on it, but it's a Jamaican herb, and a lot of people are doing that these days. Or a lot of times, there are herbs that come into they're really popular for a while. Like apple cider vinegar was one. Everyone was taking that, and I'm perfectly fine with it. It's more of a tonic. So I will say this: a lot of those herbs tend to be a tonic, and you got to take it for a long period of time. And herbs do work like that. There are some herbs or botanical medicines that are very strong, and you need to take them just for a short period of time. But for the most part, their herbs in general are meant to take on for a longer period of time. Like you want to wait about 4 to 6 weeks while you're taking something to see if it's actually effective. Because that's how our body works. You don't want to make, ideally with medicine, you don't want to make really strong changes in the system because our bodies don't work. We're not machines. We need to take time to make adjustments internally. And so you want to take something for a long period of time. So is it a good supplement? I can't answer that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What are some of the biggest myths about herbal medicine and biofield?
Biggest myths?
Yeah.
Biggest myths that it's not real is on one end, depending on who you're talking to. So the more conventional medical people think it's not real medicine. And the other people think that it's going to heal everything. And neither of them are true.
Okay.
Yeah. Another one that tends to come around is big myth is that it's okay to order your supplements off of Amazon. Please don't do that. No. Okay. Don't do that. You don't know. Amazon doesn't do any double checking. So you could be ordering a bottle from someone your next door neighbor put together in his garage. I'm serious. And he sent out. I'm not kidding. They don't do any double checking. So yeah, you don't want to order from them. Don't order your herbs from Amazon.
Okay. Besides the herbs though, is there like do you recommend like daily supplements? Like some folks, some people.
Yeah, so I will say that. Although I'm really hedging on giving you all specific things to take, I do think it's helpful, especially these days. It's just to get a good. So my things that I take, for instance, is I take a good multi. Good meaning that it's not a gummy and it doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, and it's not something I buy my supplements from a co-op. And that's mainly because co-ops will do their due diligence. They do their research to make sure that what they have is good quality, that their brands are good. And the companies that they're using are not going to they're not doing slave labor, things like that. And so I do a good multivitamin. I also do an omega, and I do a vitamin D and a B complex. That's every day.
Okay. Andrew, a question from you.
Yeah, so one of my questions right now is what advice would you give someone who's curious about herbal medicine but unsure of how to begin, especially in a world of misinformation and trendy wellness products? Obviously, with TikTok and then Instagram, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. So, what would you say would be the best course of action as far as how to kind of get into this world?
Good question. Connect with someone who practices near you. Typically, botanical medical practitioners are in it because they love it. Like they're really nerdy about it, and they will sit and talk with you. Like for instance, when I did my residency, I reached out to a botanical medical practitioner here, and I said, "Can I shadow you? Can I do one with you?" She was like, "Yes." So usually they want to teach people because they want to talk about this all day long. So connect with someone, shadow with them. And then also there's a couple of books that I will send to you. I didn't prepare ahead of time, so I don't have the names, but I can give you the couple of books to look into that I know they're reputable, that I have on my bookshelf I go back to all the time, that are written by NDs, naturopathic doctors. So you can utilize those too. I still think that books are still the most reputable and safe thing to use for research. Right now, things like TikTok, like you mentioned, TikTok stresses me out because you don't know what they know. Who are you telling me to take these things? And why do you think I should take them? I don't even know who you are. Like, what's your credentials? What have you done? Even if they said that they're doctors, I don't know that for sure. So please be careful off of that. Take that with a grain of salt, if that. And then even like your Google, just your basic online searches. Again, we're just finding that there's so much unknown there. Go to your library, go old school. That's where they still had to have credentials and receipts basically to create that information and to put it out there. So go to books, go to your library. I would go to the medical library or the medical school library when I really wanted to get deep dive into botanical medicine.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are talking about the most and fast about herbal medicine versus Western medicine. This is a 1 hour show, and Dr. Q has been providing some great information here, So we don't want to keep her all night because we want to build a good relationship with her so she can always come here and provide this kind of education and things like that. So we'll drag it for a few more minutes and then we'll try to wrap it up. Titus, question from you?
Abe, I want to support you right there when you say, we want to build this relationship with the doc. Doc, please, this is a platform. Come here whenever you feel the need, please. Again, you're the only one here practicing in your field. We, the community, need to hear you. We need to have you here. So please, whenever you're ready, we're here for you. So as you know, with the Western medicine, there is consistency in research updates, new findings, and what have you, new evidences, as you call it. How do you stay updated when it comes to your side of practice? How do you guys stay updated and consistent with that as well?
Good question. So I think it's because, well, if there's something that comes across my desk that I'm not as familiar with, for instance, the Ozempic, I had a patient that she was curious about it, and I knew a little bit, but not enough to really get into it. Like, I want to know the root. I'm always about the why. I want to know the deep stuff. And so if I don't know enough, I'm going to figure it out. I think that's my job. I think that's all doctors' jobs, basically. But so I took time to learn about what is Ozempic, what's its mechanism of action, then what are the side effects, what are the studies going on, I went to Medscape, what are the other doctors, what are the prescribing doctors doing, and why are they prescribing it? Where did it come from? And then what are the other herbs that we could use alternatively? So I did a deep dive into that. So when someone else comes across, the next person comes across, I can say with full education and really guide them. So I really do it on a case-by-case basis. Or if I'm watching TV and there's something that comes across, I watch a lot of medical TV shows. And so if there's a patient that comes in and they came in with something that I'm not as up on, I will stop and read it. I just do that. And we also have to, in order to keep my license current, I have to report that I've done hours in pharmaceuticals. I have to report that I've done studies, 25 hours a year. So usually that's done in a conference, but Yeah, I'm doing a lot of women's health research right now because menopause is on everyone's top of their list. And so I'm really deep diving into what that is. Even though I've done it and it was in my schooling, I still want to stay abreast of it because this is my job.
Okay. Just real quick here, there's a question here from Amanda
Mhm.
again, right? How can parents help their autistic child to improve on their daily growth?
Their daily growth. So again, I go back to with autism, it's biochemical, it's in the brain. And so you want to feed the brain. And so with that, you want to also be careful of giving too much of what the brain shouldn't be getting. So I go back to diet. I really go back to diet and start with diet with every patient. What are you putting in your body that it's using to work? It's like just I live in analogies a lot. So if you have a Lamborghini, you have to pay attention to what oil you're putting in it, what
Mhm.
gasoline you're putting in it. You want to make sure you get the oil change. You're not going to put messy stuff in it. And so with that, I would look at the nutrition and being careful that they're not give themselves too many stimulants. So sugar is really bad for the nervous system. It's basically poison for the nervous system, for the brain. And so you want to lower that. You want to include fatty acids. Fatty acids feed the brain. So a good omega, that's a pediatric dose, depending on how old the baby is.
Mhm.
Fatty acids and vitamin D is also really helpful for them.
Okay. Outside of work, what hobbies, passion as a medical doctor, obvious as a doctor, you know what I mean? As a doctor, right? Outside of work, what hobbies and passion like keeps you grounded, right? Because I imagine you're very busy.
That's a good question too. So I didn't mention it, but right after, in between, so when I was in high school, I interviewed the MDs and they were like, "Don't be a doctor." I was like, "Oh, great, I'm not gonna be a doctor." Then I went to, I moved from Oakland to LA, and my second love is music. And so I went to I worked in the music industry for about 3 years, with an intention to help create musicians so I could listen to their music. It was really selfish of me, but that's what it was. And I, after 3 years, I realized it was not the music industry doesn't help musicians. They don't care about that. And so I love music. I go to live shows. I go to concerts. I also was a dancer as well. So I try to dance as much as possible. Yeah, pretty much anything having to do with the arts I'm into.
So I mean, you're really passionate about this whole holistic care, right? Because it's
I
it's
guess
really
so.
holistically, you're really passionate about it. But that's good. That's good to hear. Andrea, as I said, it's a 1 hour show, so we'll give our panelists one last question, and then we'll try to wrap up with Dr. Q. So Andrea, the last question from you.
Yeah, one thing that I think about really is like the men, especially in the African community. I think about even my father. A lot of their men don't like to go in and get checked out. What words of advice would you have for the men in our community to go get checked out or address health issues or anything that you want to share, but specifically speaking to the men listening out here?
Yeah. So I would go to their hearts. Like, you want to be here for your people, you want to be here for your family. Do the things. This is going to be funny, but as a part of my education, I had to do the exam, perform the exam that they're not wanting to do. It is very fast. It's very easy. It's not what you think it is. Just get in there, take care of it, move on, and you have the rest of your life to be with your family and your loved ones. It's like this. Do you want that to offset and get you out of here, and to cut your life short when it really is a short exam? Go in and get the blood pressure taken. I say data is always helpful. It's just data. It's just data. It's just numbers. It's just information. And you can use that information to then do something with it. But if you don't have that information, you're sitting in a dark room. What are you doing? Like, how effective are you as an individual? So get that information, get to know your own body so you can continue to live your best life. I would go off of that.
Well, just a follow up to that, a lot of folks in our community are afraid of the data. I know you say it's just data,
Yeah,
but they're
they
afraid of
are.
that. They're afraid of the data because sometimes it might come with something terrifying. It might come with something, that you don't expect. Sometimes that's a hesitation, right? Folks don't want to go in.
Right.
What will you say to that?
That's a good question. For me, it's a tough one, but knowing is better than not knowing is kind of what I say. And that's also, it's hard because a lot of times the level of fatalities that we have as a community is because we wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until it's incurable. And I know it's scary and I know it's freaky. And it's a lot less scary when you go way back here as opposed to when you can't do anything about it and everyone's in grief because they don't know anything. Then you're less empowered. Then it's built on. Then there's like family trauma because they also feel like, what just happened? They don't know anything, as opposed to you're not affecting just yourself by not finding that data out, but you're affecting your loved ones, your household, and your community because they also don't know what's going on. But if you can go in a year, 6 months, just go, get that information, and then you can make adjustments. And typically when you go in now, then it's not scary because you go in now as opposed to next year. Just go.
Okay, that's good. That is last question from me to Dr. Q. You're on mute, Tadas.
Sorry, guys. So, Doc, speak to the success rate. Do you think your area of practice has a better success rate compared to Western medicine?
Listen, I do.
What does it
I
look
don't know
like?
what they all do. I don't know what the other NDs do, but I do. You get better. When you come see me, I'm not even boasting. You get better. I take that very seriously. Yes, I believe I'm starting, I believe that I was 6 years old. This is what I wanted to do. I just knew. And so we're going to collectively get you better. When people don't do well is when they get caught up and we lose touch. But if you're working with me, we're going to get better. Yeah.
Then
Great.
how do you confront the narrative then, right? As I said, right? I would like to say there's a disease management society, right? The healthcare system, just last week we talked about the American healthcare systems.
Yeah.
It's more about the disease management versus cure and healing. How do you combat that narrative?
It is very difficult. I combat it by doing this at 8:30, 8:45 at night. That's what I do. It's by talking with my people. I'm also writing a panel. I'm a columnist on the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. So I'm doing things like that. I'm doing more public speaking just to let you know that it's not as scary as you think it is, that there are options. There are other things that you can do on a day-to-day basis. I'm working to readjust the paradigm. It's just me doing this, but it's also not just me because Andrea knows. She's been talking, you referred to me by your family member. We talk about this anyway. So let's just put a bit more education in it. So yeah.
Well, Dr. Q, has been so good having you here tonight, right? I will, I will, I will kind of re-echo Amanda here what she's saying.
Thank you, Amanda.
We need you here more. We want you already know
That's
yourself. We
great.
want you to come in. So it's been good having you here tonight. We appreciate you. It's a good information. I think folks should actually seek you out, as you said, right? You provide a healing, even though the insurance companies, right, the medical system doesn't want to hear that, but you do provide a healing, and it seems like you really, really know your stuff. So thank you so much for coming tonight. We really, really appreciate you.
We're gonna need a push for that legislation, Doc.
Yes, definitely,
This needs to be
right.
affordable.
Yeah, definitely. It needs to be affordable because our community needs to come to you, right? You don't have to. The first option shouldn't be the medical system. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it, right? You can go and get a data, and then maybe take the data and come to you, right? But you should be compensated. It should be reimbursed, for the services you are providing, because I think it's a very, very important service. So thank you so much. We
One
appreciate
last thing
you.
I want to say to that, actually, just to say that really quickly, is yes, there is just one of me, and there's a small population. And in the meantime, if you don't have the option, if you've got to use them at the insurance world, then look for an integrative or functional medical doctor. Integrative or functional medical doctor. When you when you go into meeting a doctor, interview them to make sure that they fit for you, that they're seeing you and listening to you, actively listening to you. If they are not, get another doctor.
Okay. Well, lastly, then, what's the message you want to leave with folks that have been listening to you for the last 1 hour, 13 minutes, 1 hour, 14 minutes, to everyone out there, to our audience? What is the message you want to leave with them tonight?
Yes, this was my pleasure. I love this. Please call me back. I would love to do this many more times. This is giving me life. If I can give you one message, it's to listen to your body. It's always talking to you. Listen to those signs. They are quiet when they get started, but they start to get louder. So hopefully listen to them when they're quiet, but just listen to them trust them and act on what your instinct is telling you to do. You know best.
Okay. Well, Dr. Q, it's been a pleasure having you here on the Inner Circle podcast. That this is your show, it is a community show. So we beg you, come here anytime you want to, right? It's like to provide the education our folks need. So thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, folks, that concludes the end of our show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you here tomorrow.
Thank you.